I now call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 1st, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Meeting for the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 1st, 2000.
Commissioner Hendry,
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman,
Here.
Commissioner Milne. Commissioner Milne.
I'm sorry. I'm here.
Commissioner North.
Here.
Where's that mute button?
Here.
Chairman Bertolio.
I am here. Would you please stand and join me in Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I'd just like to apologize for our workroom here. For those that don't know, we're doing a significant amount of microfishing of old records, and they have quite the I don't even know what they do here, but it's some kind anyway. And I also have everyone note that we're following our COVID protocol, so we have two county commissioners as well as our county attorney, Eric Nelson, joining us via voice telephone. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kaufman, second by Commissioner Hendry to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on any items? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nice. All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of ZC 21-007, a request by Sutton for rezoning. Applicants are proposing to rezone their existing 20.24 acre parcel from SR1 to UA for the purposes of adding an accessory dwelling unit on the property. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address for the record. Ms. Nelms, may we have the staff report? We're going to do a staff report first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Again, it is case number ZC 21-007, and the applicants are proposing to rezone their existing 20.24 acre parcel from suburban residential 1 to urban agriculture for the purposes of adding an accessory dwelling unit on the property. The minimum lot size for the proposed zoning district UA is 10 acres. And the Planning Commission reviewed this case and recommended approval at their January 11th, 2022 meeting. And staff also recommends approval of the rezoning request. And I can answer any questions, and the applicants are here.
Right. Any questions for Ms. Nelms? Commissioner Milne or Commissioner North?
I have me.
Okay. I saw you nodding your head no, but I wasn't sure. All right, thank you.
Very good.
Okay, at this time, I would ask those individuals wishing to speak in favor of ZC 21-007 to approach the lectern.
I'm Ross Sutton.
Christy Sutton.
Can we have your address?
Oh,
For the record?
5223 Squaw Creek,
Okay.
Casper, Wyoming.
Same.
The floor is yours if you'd like to add anything that you think's pertinent.
If you guys have any questions, but basically we just have an older tack shed that we like to convert into some sort of a guest area, and that's why we're here.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? I think you're off the hook.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? There being no others to wish to speak in favor, at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the application to please approach the lectern. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against ZC 21-007, I now declare the public hearing closed.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Hendry.
move that we approve ZC 21-007,
Mr. Chairman,
along with the finding of fact.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hendry, second by Commissioner Kaufman to approve ZC 21-007, along with any findings of fact. Any discussion? Commissioner North, Commissioner Milne?
No. None.
All right, thank you. There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of Casper Mountain Development Moratorium encompassing ranges 38 west, 39 west, and 80 west in Township 32 north. A moratorium to temporarily prohibit the creation of new subdivision and rezoning of existing parcels on Casper Mountain until an updated Casper Mountain land use plan and an amended zoning resolution are adopted. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the Natrona County Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the commission to approach the lectern and state your name and address at appropriate time. At this time, Ms. Helma, we have staff report. No.
Yes, hello again, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Again, it is the proposed Casper Mountain Development Moratorium in ranges 78, 79, and 80 west, Township 32 north. And a little background information, Natrona County is currently in the process of updating both the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan, a guiding policy document, and the county zoning resolution. The land use plan for the mountain has not been updated since 2004, and the current zoning resolution may not adequately regulate the proposed land uses on the mountain. The documents are being updated to reflect current conditions, address future desired character for the area, including impacts on septic and water systems, and enable changes to the MR1 and MR2 zone districts. A moratorium to temporarily prohibit the creation of new subdivisions and rezoning of existing parcels on the mountain within the specified legal descriptions until the Casper Mountain Plan is updated and an amended zoning resolution is adopted, or for a period of 6 months, whichever is sooner, would help to maintain the status quo and not undermine the goal of the updates. At their meeting on January 11th, 2022, the Planning Commission recommended the board adopt a resolution instituting a moratorium on subdivisions and zone changes on Casper Mountain for a period of 6 months or until the mountain land use plan is updated and the zoning resolution is amended, whichever is sooner. And staff has a few recommendations that the board may choose to discuss. First would be to adopt the proposed resolution and enact the moratorium and direct staff to suspend review of all current and future development applications through the moratorium period. Also would be to adopt the resolution, enact the moratorium, and direct staff to process development applications received prior to February 1st, 2022. You could refer the moratorium issue back to the Planning Commission for further public comment and consideration, or take no action regarding the moratorium. So I think we have a few choices tonight, and definitely some public comment.
All right, questions for Ms. Nelms? So, a few of them. So let me preface this by the commission was pushing this effort because the last subdivision we had so many conflicting issues that we had to deal with, and it took us forever, and we learned a lot through that process. In your opinion, is there sufficient rules in place that could mitigate that from those circumstances from happening again? Or could we just simply make some simple subdivision rule changes that would address them without having to go through a moratorium?
Yes, so Mr. Chairman, again, the planning staff currently in the development department were not in place with the last subdivision that you're referencing. But since the planning commission meeting, staff has had a chance to consult with other outside entities and other departments within the county. And I do believe that the issues that came up with the previous subdivision last year are really more subdivision issues, things that need to be addressed through our subdivision regulations, not necessarily the zoning resolution. And again, the Casper Mountain Plan is meant to be a guiding policy document. They're not standards to which we can hold subdivision applications to. So with that, I think staff would be more inclined to recommend that we do take some steps to amend the subdivision regulations to clarify them a little, but I do believe, yes, the rules that we need are in place right now. And as long as we take the time to work with developers and work with the public and review applications we receive for subdivisions on the mountain, I think we have in place adequate rules to help mitigate some of those issues that you all encountered last year.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have questions? Commissioner North, Commissioner Milne?
None from me.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. At this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of the moratorium to approach the lectern. Wildly popular proposal. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the moratorium? Oh, Mr. Snyder.
Good evening, Commissioners. Andrew Schneider, 8711 Everett Lane. I've stood here before and spoke to you the values of the moratorium. Tonight, I just want to ditto my previous comments, and I heard what was said tonight, but also the history is when we've done this 20 years ago and 40 years ago, moratorium goes in place, then the plan gets written, and then the moratorium comes off and development happens. So I think there's good sound planning reasons to go ahead with the moratorium your staff is prepared and that your Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended.
Okay.
And happy to stand for any questions, otherwise short and sweet tonight.
All right, thank you. Any question, Mr. Snyder? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay. There being no others who wish to speak in favor at this time, I would ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the moratorium to come forward.
Mr. Chairman, this is Keith Nakbar. I'm on the phone, and I would like to speak in opposition, but I don't want to step on someone who might be there in person, so I just want to make sure you know I'm here.
Okay. Well, Mr. Counselor, being that you've spoke up, we'll go ahead and let you go first.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, my name is Keith Nakbar, attorney at law, 123 West 1st Street, Suite 205, Casper, Wyoming, 82601, phone number 307-473-8977. I represent the Lever Group, LLC, which is a current applicant that has an application pending for a small subdivision on Casper Mountain, which involves dividing 50 acres into 5 10-acre lots. The application of Lever Group LLC was submitted in early January of 2022, and I'm speaking in opposition to the moratorium on behalf of my client, the Lever Group LLC. So we believe, members of the Commission, that the moratorium is not necessary. Much like your staff reported to you just a moment ago, the framework for regulating subdivisions is in place already through the subdivision regulations, which were adopted in 2013, as well as Wyoming statutes that deal with and set out certain requirements for subdivisions. Those regulations, coupled with the Wyoming statutes, govern and regulate the establishment of subdivisions within the county, including those on the mountain. It's important to recognize that the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan is a policy statement and simply provides some guidelines for the planners and this Board of County Commissioners to consider when applying the subdivision regulations and state statute. The proposed moratorium would prevent the Lever Group and any others from moving forward with a subdivision or land division, but it seems unlikely that the rewrite of the zoning resolution and the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan would really have any effect on the subdivision that the Lever Group has planned and has an application pending for in this case. In effect, adopting this moratorium would freeze or stop the productive development of land for Casper Mountain when it's unlikely that the new regulations and new policies would have any effect on the application. So really what that means is delay and expense for the end users. And who are the end users? The end users are the citizens of Natrona County who may wish to purchase and develop a lot in this subdivision. We know that 6 months in today's climate, even if it was just a 6-month pause, could completely change the ability of someone to purchase and enjoy the land in a subdivision such as this one. So we believe that there is an adequate framework for regulation of subdivisions if we follow the laws that are already in place. I know that in the last subdivision that I was involved in, the Mountain Acres subdivision, roads and water were some of the main concerns, and the roads are already addressed in the current regulations. Water is dealt with in state statute and DEQ regulations, and it doesn't seem that the amendment or revamp of the zoning or the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan would have any effect on those particular issues. So really what we're doing is we're creating a delay really for no useful purpose. The second point is that I believe that this moratorium unfairly targets Casper Mountain and inappropriately targets Casper Mountain. A moratorium such as what's proposed here is generally used for an emergency situation that cannot be dealt with in the normal course of legislative changes. The zoning regulation was originally adopted, based on my understanding, back in 2000. It has been rewritten and amended periodically over the years. That applies to the whole county. There is no reason to enact an emergency legislative mechanism to freeze the process and to stop the lawful use and development of land for one area in the county, and to do so in what really is not an emergency situation. My final point is this. The moratorium as proposed really runs afoul of the intent, if not the language, of state statute. If you look at state statute, Wyoming Statute 185307 allows 45 days for a planning commission to decide an application for subdivision. 185308 allows 45 days for a Board of County Commissioners to determine an application for a subdivision. In this situation, the Lever Group submitted an application for this small subdivision on Casper Mountain in reliance on state statute as it existed, as well as the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan and the Natrona County zoning regulations. So what is proposed here would in effect mean a change in the law midstream after the Lever Group, an applicant, followed the county's regulations, followed state statute, submitted its application in reliance on existing law. It's usually not appropriate, fair, or consistent with due process to change the law after an application has been submitted. Someone invested the capital and the resources into putting together a plan for a subdivision, submitting that plan, expecting that it would go forward based on the law in effect at the time the application was submitted. After doing all of that, this moratorium, which has been proposed for really reasons that seem unclear, effectively would end the prospect of this subdivision. So for those reasons, we are in opposition and speak in opposition to this moratorium. One little side note, that is this. If the county does, if this Board of County Commissioners does decide to enact this moratorium, which we are opposed to, then we would at least ask that the language would be adjusted in the moratorium so that would affect only applications submitted after the effective date of the moratorium. So you're not changing the law on an entity that has already submitted and already invested in an existing application while that application is pending. Thank you, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nakbar. Any questions for Mr. Nakbar? All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is John Cornquin. I reside at 1650 South Walnut Street in Casper, Wyoming, 307-267-8108. And I'm not sure I can say it as well as Mr. Nakbar, but I too am here to speak in against the proposed moratorium. I'm an owner of properties up on Casper Mountain. I currently have properties I'm buying and selling at this moment on Casper Mountain, and I also have a application for a small subdivision up off of East End Road. It's 20 acres. I'm fixing a access issue by trading some land for access and then creating 3 small over 5 acre lots. I've developed property on the mountain before. A couple years ago, I did Antler Ridge subdivision on Casper Mountain off of East End Road area. It was a small subdivision. I think we did a nice job. Sales were quick. The need for and desire for lots on Casper Mountain is great. I sell real estate as well, and I can tell you, the demand is huge out right now on Casper Mountain. People are wanting it from out of state to in state. In town, everybody's looking for something, a little place from to put a little cabin, a camper, something, a little investment for their properties, and that is why we're doing these subdivisions, is because there is a great need. Otherwise, we wouldn't take the risk to do such. I think the moratorium, as Chairman already stated, it seems like it's a reaction to that Mountain Acres subdivision, and so I won't go on to my talk on that. But I believe that could have been handled differently with a little bit more accurate information and maybe following some procedures that are already in place. So I believe that this action, if you go forward with, actually a direct attack on property rights as well. People that are buying property, it's not just a dream, it's an investment. And so when we alter that scope of what people can do with their investment, it takes away their ability to maximize their property value and everything they planned on doing when they bought the property. Now it's frozen in time, which you wouldn't do if you were in the stock market. You wouldn't say, okay, everybody gets to do their investment, but you don't get to realize yours over there because we decided arbitrarily that we're not going to allow you to realize those funds. So I would say that a moratorium affects individuals' property rights and their investment. As time is a major ingredient to an investment, due to the nature of mountain land and weather, this action would delay and diminish our investment returns. And although there are always risks with investments, those risks shouldn't be due to arbitrary governmental action. I ask the Board of Commissioners to not adopt this moratorium, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Right. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cornquin? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. My name is Gary Lever. I'm at 300 North Center Street in Casper. Mr. Nakbar spoke for me, did a probably much better job than I'm going to do. But I am in opposition to the moratorium. I am a real estate broker and a landowner on Casper Mountain. You already know that I have an application in for a subdivision of 50 acres, 5 lots, 10 acres apiece. It's on the south side of the mountain, and then the land butts up to Circle Drive, Casper Mountain Road. So roads should not be an issue as far as some of the things that occurred for the Mountain Acre subdivision. I'm aware that new development can increase the numbers of people living and recreating on Casper Mountain, but there is, as John mentioned, a very strong demand for property on Casper Mountain. There's very limited supply right now. There might be maybe 2 parcels available for people, and we have people from various, fortunately or unfortunately, various different states and also local people who have an interest in having some recreational land on Casper Mountain. I think the moratorium would only heighten the shortage of land up there and potentially cost, what am I saying here? The community needs more land on Casper Mountain. The moratorium would extend the time and potentially the cost of bringing new properties to the market. I believe the existing regulations that are in place are sufficient and adequate to control new development on Casper Mountain. And although I don't oppose suggestions from the Casper Mountain Land Use Plan, new development should be looked at on a case-by-case basis. The rights of landowners to apply for a simple or major subdivision should take priority over the possibility of extended and costly delays that I believe a moratorium would cause, while the pros and cons of the suggestions in the moratorium are debated. So I would ask you guys to oppose the moratorium, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lever? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? All right. There being no others to speak for or against, I now declare the public hearing closed. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hendry.
you know, after, we've talked about this at our work session a little bit, and I would, we got a letter from one person that wanted to have it read, and I'll just read the bottom. A moratorium is uncalled for and creates an unnecessary delay in the freedom of developers that do their work. Please vote against the moratorium, and that was Amy Gerlach, and I think we all got that letter. But in view of that and in our conversations, it came out that I think we do have enough rules and regulations in the subdivision regs that we can make this work. And so I would move that we take no action on the moratorium at this time.
I'd second. This is Milne.
It's been moved by Commissioner Hendry, seconded by Commissioner Milne to take no action. Just a point of order for Mr. Nelson. Is that a valid motion, or do we just simply have no motion at all?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so I think that it would be clear if it's to take no action, you could simply not make a motion, let it die for lack of a motion, which would essentially end in the defeat of the proposition, or you can affirmatively vote to deny it. I think either one of the two would be make for a clear record.
Well, I would withdraw that motion, make it to deny it.
How about we make it an affirmative that you move to approve, and then you can vote against it?
Okay, that's why I didn't do it at the beginning. Okay,
Gives people
a heart
I withdraw my motion.
Would you like, Chair, to entertain a motion to approve the moratorium?
I have so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Kaufman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Milne. Further discussion, Commissioner North or Commissioner Milne?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Milne.
do conversation exploring the subject a little bit more with the staff. Looking at what we have on the books now, I believe we're okay with moving forward without having a moratorium on the amount. And as such, I would not support this motion.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I can, you use me as a second, I think, and I can't do that.
Okay. Well, we've got, it was moved by Commissioner Kaufman, second by Commissioner Hendry, so. Commissioner North.
I agree with what has been said. When we brought this up, there were some issues that needed to be addressed, and at this point in time, with our planning department, I believe that we have those they have been addressed, and we're moving forward in the right direction and with our subdivision regulations. And so I don't think that we, at this point in time, that we need to have this moratorium, so I won't support it either.
Commissioner Kaufman?
I can't say it any better, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. I would also echo what everyone else has said, and we are very pleased to have Ms. Nelms on board. She brings a tremendous degree of knowledge with her. We hope the public enjoys working with her. She has a breadth of knowledge that the office has needed for quite a while, and has looked at our subdivisions and other things and said, they're a mess, and I'm going to fix them. So we're very excited to have her on board. With that, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion unanimously fails. Okay, with that, at this point, we have reached the end of our regularly scheduled meeting. Are we going to do commissioner comments first or public comments?
Commissioner.
Commissioner comments first?
That's what it says.
Well, I know, but I don't have to follow that. So public comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the commission tonight? Going once, going twice? All right, well, thank you. At this point, any comments from commissioners? Commissioner North?
All I can say is there's a lot of COVID going around out there. Be safe.
Commissioner Milne?
It is. I'm glad we have the technology where we can sit in on the meetings and have our voices heard as duly elected. But I got to tell you, nothing beats being there in person. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Commissioner Hendry?
The only thing I've got is that the wolves are spreading out of the park. There was one killed the other day in Natrona County. There's 2 left, but right out there on the rattlesnakes on the west end. And we don't need that to start in Natrona County. So, but the only good wolf's a dead wolf, and he is, so that's good. That's all I have.
Commissioner Kaufman.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make it quick. So Advanced Casper has taken the lead on setting up a 501c4 to help facilitate the conversation and the raising of funds for an airline revenue guarantee. So many of you who paid attention saw a group of people come forward and ask for that from the commission maybe 2 months ago, and now there's some private industry involved. Advanced Casper taking the lead on some of the administration. So it's nice to see a community effort and all of us working together to help maintain air service in Natrona County. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The only thing from an information standpoint, I think everyone has seen that we are in the state struggling to do redistricting. We're looking at a new district, 62, that encompasses part of Natrona and part of Converse County. We are fortunate to have such wonderful staff with Ms. Good and Nancy. I don't know what Nancy's last name is, but in mapping, I can tell you that you look at it and you go, well, why did you do that? You're going to get more information you can possibly absorb. We're very fortunate to have the staff that we have that can actually make sense of what is being done. And I'd just say thank you for all your hard work. She's trying to serve a lot of masters and doing a pretty good job. All right, thank you. And with what? Oh, Commissioner.
One other thing on the redistricting. Many of you know I live in the extreme northwest corner in Natrona County, and there is a move afoot by Charlie Scott to give me away to the Bighorn Basin. And I don't like it. That district would go from Powder River to the east side of Cody. That doesn't make any sense at all. So I hope that doesn't come on the floor and get any traction. But anyway.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Nelms, have something to add?
Yes. Holly and I recalled we wanted to, especially since Mountain Moratorium, the draft of the updated Casper Mountain Land Use Plan will be out to the public for review on February 11th, and we're having an open house on February 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. out at the Ag Resource Building. So we want lots of people to come comment.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.
Okay.